I'm involved in the way of discipleship, but before engaging in the way of discipleship, I thought, this is going to be easy. I don't necessarily need to do this. This is going to be a piece of cake. But really, the idea of one person intentionally pouring into my life and walking through life, showing me the practices of Jesus, has transformed me in ways that no other relationship in my life has. And there are countless other stories from people at Grace like that. And so, why do you think that this idea, this notion that we can be launched into our calling through surrender, why do you think this idea has resulted in a visceral reaction from the people of Grace about discipleship?
Why did you do it? Like, if you felt like, I'm okay, then what was your motivation for doing it in the first place?
Yeah, my motivation for doing it is because somebody asked me to do it. Somebody came alongside me and they showed up in my life and they said, I think that you have potential to be better and greater than you are, and I want to walk alongside you, and I want you to experience this. And I said, okay, I'll give this a shot.
That is the beauty of it, is the fact that it's a framework for having these conversations and these interactions around these 11 practices that are universal to our human experience and spiritual growth, but can really be designed between the disciple and the discipler over where that person really can grow and become who God's called them to be and grow in their character. It's nothing is like it.
Yeah. Well, and Jeff, some of the uniqueness I found, I've been in discipleship relationships where I felt like a project. I didn't like that. I've been into discipleship relationships where it's filling in the blank.
Right.
I also didn't like that. This is the first one where it's, for me, that it's really worked, where it's a relationship, but it's intentional. And the conversations that we end up having. I had a conversation this week with one of my disciples that just was golden. It was amazing. And not just me discipling him, but it was definitely him impacting me in ways that I can grow. And so it's been an awesome thing. And there was a period where I was kind of trial and error, seeing how it was going to work.
Right.
I'm sold now.
I think that some of the visceral reaction too comes from not just the belief that somebody asked me, but as a discipler, even some of what you were saying is, I'm trying to walk in tune with God's voice and spirit. And it's amazing how many absolutely holy moments, in a conversation, all of a sudden something comes up because you've been spending time together, and it's the thing that opens something for them that without that relationship wouldn't have happened. And I was even surprised a number of months ago when I brought all the guys I'm discipling together and hearing some of what has had an impact came out of some of that. And it just makes your day to keep going. Even though you go into it thinking, what have I got to offer?
Right.
And Jeff, one thing you said that I think has been significant is this idea of it's a framework. And so that's a framework that can be applied in a lot of different kinds of relationships. And I'd say for me, discipling a couple of guys, but I'm also have started this discipleship relationship with one of my sons, and Susie's done it with her girls. And it has created some great conversations that I'm not sure I would have had with my son. And as we've got a couple years, before he heads off to college, I'm going to be thankful for every one of these conversations I've had with him.
Yeah. I was scared to death to ask somebody to, do you want to follow me as I followed Jesus? I felt like that was so daunting. Yes, like I'm sure I felt like she'd be like, are you sure? I don't know if you're the one I want to. And I prayed about who it would be, and I had this epiphany moment, and the person came to mind, and I know it was definitely the Holy Spirit saying this is who it's supposed to be. And so I called her and just threw it out there, and her reaction was, you would have time to do, and I was like, oh my gosh, I would have time. I can't believe you would even think I am capable of doing this with you, or so it was that kind of reaction opened my eyes to, there are so many people out there that are hungry and waiting. They want to grow, they want to move forward, they want to go deeper, they want to surrender if they haven't even gotten to that place, but they don't know where to start with it, and they're kind of scared to be the one to ask, will you give me this time? So we need to be offering it.
Now, when I talk about disciple making, let me be clear what I mean by that. I'm talking about it in the broadest sense. Disciple making as in discovering, looking for, and reaching out into the lives of people who are not surrendered to Jesus Christ, who are lost, who are far from Jesus Christ, engaging them, getting to know them, staying in the room with them, having conversations with them, persuading them to follow Jesus Christ, seeing them baptized, after they're baptized, getting them into, or even before, getting them involved in the way of discipleship, and ultimately seeing them launch in the mission of God. So I want to tell you, when I talk about disciple making, I'm talking about the whole enchilada of disciple making. Disciple making, and I got to tell you, one of the things I'm most excited about it right now is that disciple making is becoming our white hot why. It's becoming the why we exist. It is so cool. Another sign of our rapidly growing passion for disciple making is you realize that we're baptizing people at a rate unheard of in our 25-year history. So far in 2016, a couple weeks ago, we baptized 87 people. But you need to know, in a little over 2 years, we have baptized nearly 700 people at Grace Church. We are engaging one another in the way of discipleship. The way of discipleship, an intentional, time-bound relationship focused on learning and embracing 11 practices essential to following Jesus Christ. Now I want you to see something. We created the way of discipleship in 2010. Here's a graph, and I want you to see, you might not be able to see, back in 2010, we launched with a focus group, kind of like, right, Ron? It was a beta test. We launched with 60. As you can see, right now in 2016, there are over 700 people involved in the way of discipleship. We are now on our second and third generation of disciplers. There are 2,000 books in circulation. It's been translated in Spanish. It's been translated in French. Grace Kids has rewritten their entire curriculum around the way of discipleship. Student ministry has reshaped their entire approach around the way of discipleship. And this May, we are launching the way of discipleship for young families. It is happening.